Hello everyone, Corrine here from Corrine Crafts. I hope you are well. Have you been doing lots of lovely crafting? Please do share your makes with me. Today's project, isn't this beautiful? It's on a standard 6x6 card blank, so it's not too big at all. It's all about those dual layered stencils. So look at this, can you see? That's heat embossed. That's not. I'm going to show you how to create that extra added interest just by using a 2-layered stencil. So yeah, and then you can just decorate it however you want. These are just some bits that I found that I had. So let's see how it was made. I've had these funky fossil stencils for a few weeks now, and straight away as soon as I saw it I thought, oh, I had a couple of ideas, so I'm actually going to do one of the ideas with them this time. I might save the other technique for another day. They came as part of a Lucky Dip type bag, so yes, it wasn't that I went out to buy them, but as soon as they came I thought, oh, I can see how I'm going to use those. So it's a 2-layer stencil, so you've got the sort of the reds and then the greens and the gold. What I would say is the greens and the golds on that one. So I've cut a piece of card. I've cut it to 5 3/4 wide, but I've not cut the width off at all yet, so I'm just going to pop this down here. So you can put this anywhere. So if I put that to the bottom and then put that to there, and then I'm going to secure it with a piece of masking tape. We will do it properly this time, so just put a piece of masking tape across there. Now the only reason I've not trimmed it down that way was to give me somewhere to tape onto. So I'm going to pop my craft mat down just so that I know I'm not going to get everything everywhere. Let's move that piece out of the way. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a complete mix of inks. So first of all, I'm going to start with a quick dry ink. So as its name says on the tin, as soon as it hits the cardstock, it's pretty dry. So I'm going to come in on my red layer, because I can see there's my poinsettia leaves. Quick dry ink. I love, the thing about quick dry inks is they're quite a dense ink. Dense, is that the right one? They give a really lovely, strong colour. So yeah, you can still get shades if you want to, but I'm going to sort of fairly do them uniformly. I'm going in just with a blending brush, but you could use a blending pad or just a small brush. It's entirely up to you. You use whatever works for you. Now remember, I am going to cut this card down, so if a bit of ink goes over the edge, it's not the end of the world. It will all be trimmed down. I think it's got hold on for some sort of system, like a stamping platform type system that you could use, but don't worry about that. With any stencils like this, you can always get around not having something like that. So as I say, these are quick dry inks, so they're going to dry lovely and quickly as soon as they've hit the card. What I also like to do is try and, you've got lots of ink on your stencil that will move, so just brush it in so that you're using it. Otherwise all you're going to do is wipe it off with a cloth at the end, so that's just a waste. So all I've just do, just make sure all the ink is in there, and that is the end of the first layer. If you've got some shading, some depth, then so be it. It'll look really nice. And there we go. Look at how that looks. I'm going to peel that off, and then I'm just going to wipe my hands because I can see I've got ink on it. And the thing about quick dry inks is they're quick to dry on paper, but they don't dry very quickly on your hands. Just right. So once we've done that layer, that's that red done. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take an anti-static bag, and I'm just going to go all over the cardstock like this, and you'll see why in just a minute. It's not going to dull down your reds at all, don't worry about that, but it's going to make sure there's no damp on my card, and you'll see why. So I'm going to take the second one, and you might just have to have a look and make sure you've got it the right way around. I had it lined up with the bottom, so if I've cut it the right way around, and then it was evenly spaced. So yeah, you can see, look, those centres should be in the centre of your flowers. Now obviously if you've got the right stamping system to use those little holes, you wouldn't have to worry about. But as you can see, I've got it perfectly even without that. So I'm going to take that down. Now this time I'm going to go in, first of all, I'm going to go in with a little bit of gold pigment ink, and I'm just going to put that on with a little blender brush. You've seen me use these blend brushes. So I'm going to put that in the centres. There we go, just there, there, there. Now, on the one that I did as my tester, I did these baubles as red, but on this one I'm going to do them as gold. And we'll see what a difference it looks. We can compare and contrast, can't we? So we can do this. Now, remember, this is pigment ink. Pigment ink has larger molecules to it so that the ink stays wet for longer. And you'll see why that's going to be super useful in a minute. So just, I could probably have done this with a little brush pad. But I've got one on the back of there, but I've started now with this, so I'll finish it. As long as you've got plenty of ink on. But the great thing is some of these are quite small holes, so the brushes are really good because they get into those holes, which is great. My ink pad's jumping around. There we go. So I hope you're enjoying this. This is the second of this second batch of Christmas ones. So I did Christmas in July and we're now Christmas in October and then into November. Yeah, because once we've got into end of November, probably no point doing Christmas, is there? Okay, so the next one I'm going to do is I'm going to go with my grasshopper. So this is, again, it's an opaque pigment ink. Now, what I'm going to do is grab a piece of cardstock. So this is my green, and I'm just going to do it in those holes. And it's actually quite similar to my my gold. And all I'm doing is I'm just protecting those gold ones. Where I've gone over it with gold, I'm just protecting those a little bit. Just to make life easier for me, that's all. No other reason than that. Again, you can do shading, you can do toning if you want, but we are going to do some heat embossing, so don't worry too much about shading because we're going to heat emboss over it. So that was just like a good one to mat off, just to make sure we don't go over the gold. And just makes it a bit quicker, doesn't it? A bit easier. I'm all for ease, definitely. I like easy. If I can make my life a little bit easier, I always will try. Always will. Just on here. And the great thing is, as I said, we're going to trim this cardstock down, so if it went over the edge, but it's quite, way I've got it set up, it's probably quite safe to do. We're not going to go over. There you go. Keep it nice and simple. I'm not into overcomplicated at all. So once we've done that, what I might just do is I've got a little bit, well, I've got a whole pot of my green topaz, and I just want to just add a little bit of contrast, so you can just blend that in, just adding in a little bit, so it's not quite as flat, just by adding in another like bit of tone. There we go. You're not careful, it can go a bit heavy, but it's easy to blend. Just adds a bit of depth, bit of dimension. Right, okay. So with this layer, we've used pigment inks and we've gone with green and gold. As I was saying, pigment inks, I've got larger molecules. Larger molecules mean it stays wet for longer. So we can lift that off from there. Drop that. And then I can get my embossing powder and I can go all over. So I want it to go all over the green, all over the gold. It can go over the red because, as you saw, we did our anti-static bag. So we know it's perfectly dry. But what we're hoping for is that it'll catch on the green and the gold. Bend that down. And there you go. So now you can see where the powder has stopped because it's sort of gone a bit misty, hasn't it? So that is absolutely perfect. So we're going to have a very different look. The red's going to be matte because it's the quick drying, and the green and the gold is going to be shiny. Right, I'll stop talking and we can watch this. So now you can see, look at that. We've got the matte on the red, and then we've got the raised shiny of the green and the gold. Doesn't that look amazing? And look at the green. Because I've done it with those two different inks, we've got that shape and texture. Now, all you need to do is trim that down to the size that you want it to be. So this one, and you can see the difference is I've gone in with the red for the baubles. So that what the difference is, I've trimmed it down, but I've not gone close. So you know, sometimes when I do my mats and layers, I do my shape and then I put a white matte layer on. I thought, well, why bother doing that, because I've got the white of the card. So I've just almost created a faux matte layer all the way around the edge, and that then needs to go onto my card base. So my card base is some red. I took out the centre because you'll see why in a minute. I've put that on. So this is a pre-bought 6-inch card, so we can put that onto there. So then I'm going to go on with my gold and white. That's going to go on here. Just the perfect border all the way around, and again introducing that white between the two colours, because personally I just think it makes it look so much classier. And then we're going to pop this one onto there. So look at that. Doesn't that look absolutely amazing? And as per usual, we're going to lift it with a little bit of foam tape. So there we go. It is only a really thin foam tape is this. This is why I like it. I don't feel like I'm lifting up lots. I don't know, perhaps I was a bit less subtle. I used to, like, you know, 5mm foam tape at least, really raise it up, but now sometimes I think, oh, less is more. Just put a small height of foam tape on, so it almost looks flat but not quite, and you get a lovely effect. So this is going to go onto here, all the way off. And that goes just like that. And as always, we always do a little bit of glue on the back of here. There we go. So what I'm doing now here with this, you could easily convert to any of your stencils that you've got. You're going to be able to do it with your Christmas ones or just regular stencils. Just have that contrast between the matte and the heat embossed. I think it looks lovely. Right, that is a really gorgeous background. One of the other things you could do potentially is do emboss it with your die cutting machine. So what I've done is I have die cut a circle of vellum. Used a bit of vellum recently, and then I've just created this lovely array of bits and pieces. Sorry about the dog barking in the background. And I'm going to stick that on to here. Okay, so I have, from my vintage snowman, I have cut out Merry Christmas, and I've cut it out in red and in gold, and I've just done the really smallest drop shadow with that. And I'm going to use my precision glue press because it just makes life so much easier. So a little bit of glue on the back of there, just like that, and then I'm going to pop it top corner up there, and then do the same with the Christmas. Little bit of glue on the back of there, tap off any excess if you feel like you need to, and that will go just right across the middle. It just takes away a little bit of the background so that the sentiment, is that straight? I don't think it is. So the sentiment is just that little bit more visible. There we go, like that. I just think that looks really nice. Okay, and then I'm going to start putting on my bits and pieces. So my poinsettia is going to come down here, and then I've got some gold, I've got some leaves, and I've got some other bits. So let's just work out where it's going to go. I am going to trim these down because I love them, but they're a bit big, and I love that I can do them in gold. It looks really good, doesn't it? You'd normally expect to do things like this, fir leaves, in green, but I just think this looks really nice. I'm just going to put a little bit of wet glue behind to hold them just while we're planning everything else. I'm going to be using my hot glue in a minute, but this will just keep everything where I want it to be. Let's just put that there. Then I'll come in with this one. So as I said, hot glue is your best friend for this. So I'm just going to pop this. So this was just me. I've just got 3 layers of poinsettia petals, leaves. Well, they are leaves really, aren't they? And I've just put them together. So let's just put that like that. And then we can make sure it's shaped. Make sure I can still see my Merry Christmas. And then in we go with all of the leaves. Just like that. I just thought it would be nice to add plenty of foliage on this. There we go. Oops. But you'll notice I only glue at one edge so that everything still has movement. It has, you know, it moves around. It's not pinned down too tight. I need to just fiddle around with this because this isn't quite right. Ah, that's better. That's much better. I found out of, where was this? This was out of my, towards the night before Christmas. It's the embellishment bit. And I've just found, I'll do the gold baubles first. Just found some gold baubles out of there. I thought that would work really well. And that's going to go in that side. And then the little fir cones as well. One's got snow on and one hasn't, but that's just going to add to the look, isn't it? And then the last one, if I can do it without burning my fingers. And that one's going to go just there, like that. And then the final little bit I think I want to do, let's clear all those bits. The final very little bit is, I can just get some pearls. I'm going to do them not where the red ones are, just put those onto here. A couple of gold. You could even do this. I know I did the gold embossing. So why did you do the gold emboss? I don't know, but it hasn't come out as gold as I would have liked. So that can work quite well. Put it on there. You could do it on any of your little baubles if you wanted, but I think I've virtually got enough. I've got a little glue string there. So if you want to put any more on, just go for it. Otherwise, I think that is enough texture and enough dimension. Just pushing that down a bit. And that is how I'd use my Funky Fossil stencil. I think that's absolutely gorgeous. It's quite busy, but it's really, really beautiful. It will need to go in a box to be sent, but that's not a problem. We do that all of the time. Anyway, I hope you like that. I've enjoyed putting that one together. Number 2 in round 2 of my Christmas series. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know if you have a go with something like that. Even if you do something completely different sort of stencil, I'd love to know how you get on. And again, with that, we've done this before using the vellum to sort of mist out the background. It really, really works. So please share with me what you get up to, and I can't wait to see them. So take care. Please don't forget to click on the links down in there, or the subscribe button up at the top, because you don't want to miss any of my future videos. So until next time, you take care, and I'll speak to you very soon. Bye for now.